So, the idea behind... I'm going to turn it down in my ear a little bit more. The idea behind the tier list. Here's the idea. And these tiers may change over the course of the... as we're putting this together, as we're deciding different things about it. But you can see instead of using alpha numeric, like S tier, A tier, what I've done is I've put a percent here. This is the percent increase in damage that I would consider equivalent to the perk. Or to put it another way, if in the first mountain I saw this perk and another pedestal that said plus X% damage, what is the value of X such that that is a hard choice? That's my criteria. I'm a little torn though if I want to use damage or health. I think those are the most straightforward. If you had to take one, yes. So for a negative perk, I'm not going to try and narrow in on exactly how bad it is. I'm just going to say it's less than 0%. And we may add more tiers. We may granulate this further. I don't really know. We'll see. And I have another tier list done over here that I did on my own, and we'll see how close they end. Removed percent sign from 0. All right, you fine. We'll see how closely they align after. Also, why has YouTube stopped making noise? It's just a quiet scene. Okay, it's fine. Cat template. Have you never seen Noita? It's got a lot of negative perks in it for sure. Okay. So, I'm going to start with... I'm going to try to find some easy wins. Never skip leg day, I feel like is a 5% perk. I also want to go into depth on pretty much how I feel about all the uses and downsides and upsides of every perk. And I plan on uploading this to YouTube later and timestamping every perk. So that's my idea. That's where I'm at. Let me loop this. There we go. How is the heater like audible in the background, by the way? It is, you piece of shit. How can I make it quieter? What if I... That's not gonna make it muffled at all, and it's also gonna be a fire hazard. Ah, well. Okay. So, it's not very bad, but it's definitely there. It's quieter than the music. All right, if it's quieter than the music, that's fine, I guess. Never skip leg day. It's an okay boss killer. It does 125 damage to the boss or thereabouts, and the boss has like less than 1,000 HP. So if you kick him 8 times, he dies. That's pretty useful. But it's pretty easy to make a boss killer without using a perk. It makes it harder to heal from he-see healers. You can't kick a healer to reduce its HP by a small amount to heal from them more easily if you have 2 of them. It's actually a good... Oh, that's the other thing. This tier list is for experienced players getting regular wins. So killing Colmy, or, I mean, I guess technically if getting to the work without killing Colmy is easier than that, but it's never easier. So killing Colmy, getting to the work, locking in a win. And not talking about killing any of the mini-bosses or going for a long run or anything like that, unless you're in some, like, weird, crazy run where somehow killing Alchemist to get infinite healing is the most optimal path through, but I pretty much don't think that's ever, well, maybe sometimes. If you're not trying to set up for a long run, though, I probably wouldn't bother killing Alchemist. Anyways, Leg Day could be used to kill some of the mini-bosses as well, but I don't think you should really track it for that. But I'd give up 5% damage, I think, for a guaranteed boss killer if I saw it in the first mountain. Because now I don't have to worry about making a boss killer. I could speedrun if I want from here on out. I think 5% is fine. Let's look for other fairly easy ones. Homunculus, I would give 0%. I think I don't hate it as much as I used to. It does do pretty decent damage, but the downside, of course, is that you don't want anything in your run doing things that you're not actively doing. You don't want external variables at all if you can avoid them. So adding volatility is not really worth it. I might take Homunculus if I'm not giving up anything for it, but I wouldn't take it over pretty much any other perk. I think Homunculus might be the best of the 0%. We'll see. Crit Plus, I'd put it in 10%. It's about how much damage you get from it, but I would prefer the consistent 10% as opposed to the however exactly the math works out with, actually, how much is crit? How much does this work out? I don't remember. It's 15%. 15% for a times 5. So the math on that is, you take the... If you have a 0% crit chance on your wand, then 15% of the time you'll be doing times 5 damage, and 85% of the time you'll be doing regular damage. So that comes out to 60% extra damage on average. But... that should probably be up there. But... that's assuming if you have 0% crit, and you often are using Spark Bolts, which start with 5% crit. If you have 5% crit already, then I don't even want to do the math. It's not as dramatic, is what I'm getting at. You can probably put in 25, though. 25% damage for 60% extra damage sometimes. It seems pretty, or on average. But you'd prefer the consistency, is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of wasted damage in the crits, because crits overkill by so much of the time. And so there's a lot of that extra damage being wasted compared to a 25% flat increase in damage would have very little wasted damage. We're going to leave Perk Lottery and Extra Perk for last, because you can't decide how good they are without knowing how good everything else is. Concentrated Spells I would put in the 200% tier. I created the 200% tier with the idea of putting just Concentrated Spells in it. It's free damage. It's so much free damage that if this tier were like 500%, I'd still be like, yeah, but Concentrated Spells, I could easily build a wand that does more than that. But 200% I think is at the point where it's just gonna, you're gonna win either way. 200% is like, is good. I don't know. Concentrated Spells is crazy insane damage, and you have to alter your playstyle so little to utilize it. It's almost no downsides. The only downside is recoil and healing's a little bit harder. Okay? Grow up. Learn how to not take infinity damage and need healing. You have a one-shot wand. Boomerang spells and eat your vegetables. I would put in one tier below eat your vegetables. I'd trade off 100% of damage for a boomerang or an eat your vegetables. They're in the similar category as concentrated spells because they both give you a tremendous increase in damage, but the trade-off is that both of them demand that you alter your playstyle pretty significantly. It's not necessarily very hard to do so, but that still places them significantly below concentrated spells, which is just use every same build that you've been using this entire time, but now do more damage. Personally have EYV at 50%, but that's because I'm lazy. If I went into a mountain, I saw plus 50% damage, and I saw eat your vegetables. Eat your vegetables comes with healing, though. If it were just the offensive thing, I might be more inclined to agree. But the fact that it also comes with healing is like you can really just grab it and go. You can just grab it and then run through the rest of the levels and tank all the damage because you got healing. What do you need to make boomerang spells work? Never had fun with it. So I have two tips. First is luminous drills become very, very powerful with boomerang because it's like they have a built-in ping pong and also an extra 10 damage on top, or 15 damage on top of that. So it's like 2.5 times as good as a ping pong luminous, and it even I think has slightly more range than a ping pong luminous. And a ping pong luminous is already good enough that if you can fire it every frame, you can easily win the game. Just with that. So if you see a luminous drill, I would strongly recommend that you just take boomerang and leave. Like, take your win. But the other tip that I would have to say is most builds in the meta use a spark trigger as the delivery method for the package. For boomerang spells, you want to use spark timers. That's the big difference. If you use spark timers instead of spark triggers, you'll get basically all of your range back that you lost for using boomerang, and you can even stack spark timers together to get huge range. And then you have a tremendous amount of damage because boomerang spells also works like concentrated spells. It gives you the same type of stacking damage increase. There's also some other fun builds that you can do. For example, if you have accelerative homing and the boomerang spells and, say, circle of shielding, circle of freezing, circle of vigor, or not circle of vigor, excuse me, circle of fervor, or any of those such circles, then you'll end up with a really, really powerful homing mist style wand that automatically drills through walls, automatically chases down any nearby enemies, and then once it's done killing everything, it returns directly to you. And it does a ton of damage because boomerang can give it a ton of damage without any additional modifiers. The only thing about boomerang is, as Top Swag Code pointed out in the chat, you need to be aware that you have it and not be firing bombs. Bombs is really the big one. A lot of people take boomerang spells one time and then kill themselves with it and then never do it again. Did I ever figure out what was causing the issue that other stream? No. And we're not going to talk about it. I'm gonna figure it out eventually. Anyways. Bomb off trigger bomb off of trigger or timer will still return a no? Yes. Any spells that you cast, whether or not they're cast directly by you or through a trigger or a timer, will boomerang. However, that only applies to projectiles and static projectiles, which means once you're in the late game, when you have access to Greek spells, which are others, if you cast a spell with a Greek spell, that Greek spell does not inherit the Boomerang modifier. And so you can cast your Black Holes, your Circle of Vigors, etc. normally. And it's not actually too hard to build a late game all-in-one healing, digging, travel wand, even if you have Boomerang spells. And then your main wand can be the accelerative homing circle Boomerang wand. And it's very powerful. Does it retain damage? The Greek spell? No. Casting it with Greek spell does not, it simply, the Greek spells simply don't inherit any, properties of your perks. Except I think critical plus, for some reason. I think that's the only one. And I truly don't know why. Especially since Close Call, which I would rate as a little bit better than Boomerang. Close Call has the same issue where Boomerang doesn't affect, or where it doesn't affect Greek spells. Close Call is another one of those perks that has the same invisible modifier multicasting stacking mechanic. And when an enemy is nearby you, it has a base 40% crit bonus. And that's applied to all of your projectiles. So if you have a multicast of 10 projectiles, and Close Call is active, that will give you 400% crit chance. Or like times 21 damage, or times 20, I'm not sure exactly which. So if you set up, say, a homing mist or homing note wand of some kind, and you activate it with Close Call, it'll keep that huge crit the whole time. Can you glue an enemy to yourself and have more crit chance? If you have a pet following you, I think almost all of the pets count. I think rats count. Any of the enemies comes out of eggs, I know, or the friendlies that come out of eggs, I know definitely count. There's ways of making sure that it works. Glass Cannon. I'm trying to start with the sort of offensively centered perks. They're more easy to rate based off of damage percent. Again, the tier list is based off of how much damage would, what percent increase in damage do I think that this perk is worth, essentially. Would I take crit plus or a flat 25% increase the damage? What I mean by it's in this tier is it's not so clear which choice is correct. I rate them roughly equivalently. Glass Cannon, I think is a 33%. I don't think I'd put it in 50%. I'm not sure. It's definitely strong enough that for an experienced player, they're not going to kill themselves with it. Probably. And it's relatively easy once you have the times 5 damage to just kind of kill everything in sight, even with a pretty jank bad wand. And the 50 health cap is we're considering that we see this in the first mountain. And Glass Cannon first mountain, I think is fairly safe. Maybe 50%. In first mountain, I think that's a 50% maybe. We'll see. We'll come back to that. Let's try to mow through a couple zeros. Zeros and 5s. I'll take like a little damage hit to get Rage Levitation, but it's inconsistent. And it's not necessarily one of the more important stats. And it doesn't give you a ton of it. And it doesn't really do much else. I mean, it doesn't do anything else. I wouldn't take that. You wouldn't take 5% for it. I think maybe if you could take 5% for it. I'd take 5% for fire immunity. I would take 0% for oil blood. Oil blood is like Fire immunity, I start the game with fire immunity. I have a flask of water. But I wouldn't say that it's totally useless, right? Maybe you're right about it being here. I should have had the chat on screen. Hold on, can I figure out how to do that right now? It seems like a lot to figure out right now. Or is it? Wait, hang on. Hang on. It's not gonna happen, man. No. I'd have to, like, figure out a whole thing. Oh, well. It's gonna argue 10% because of fire-based crits and such, but it's rare to get those. Yeah. I don't think... And allowing you to play a little bit more aggressively with fire maybe puts it up here, but, like, just kill the enemies. You don't need to, like, light them on fire to make sure that they don't shoot you. Just, you know, more often than not, you'll be able to build a wand that kills them. I don't think I would even notice if I had rage-filled levy versus when I didn't. That's a compelling argument, I would say. Vomit rats, it's 0%. You don't come across vomit. You'll get one moment where you throw the flask on the ground and you're like, go, my minions! And they kill like 2 Hisi and you're like, what a rush. And then the perk does nothing from there on out, unless you shift water or lava to vomit, but that's getting very circumstantial, and it's not even very good in that case. Pro player, think I have to build more wands that kill. Think I have built more wands that kill me than enemies. It happens. Bouncy spells, I'd put in 0% just barely, because it does make your luminous drills kick ass. It makes your chainsaws kick ass. And if you've... I mean, that's all you really need for a win, right? But it also ruins every other goddamn spell that you have. So, if I have one of those ingredients, I might take bouncing spells. But if I don't, it's a terrible perk. So, if I don't know what the seed has, this is at the first mountain. I don't really know what the seed has yet. I would probably not take it, but I might take it. So that's why I would put it in 0. I probably wouldn't, but I might take it. And I'm talking about if it were just free on the ground. Not like compared to other perks, if it were just like free. Let's try to find some more easy zeros. That's a bomb materializer. It does nothing. Done. Moving on. This is the most nothing perk in the game. Or one of them. Dissolve powders is another, like, okay, I guess. Whatever. Where's Breathless? There he is. Get in there. Worm Love and Attract I would put Remove Digging and Worm Love both barely in the negative, because Remove Digging, what kind of stuff does bouncing spells ruin? It ruins, like, teleport, and it ruins your magic missile digging, and it ruins, like, firework digging, because it gives lifetime as well. And so a lot of the explosive digging options are just like break. You just bounce off the wall. Impact explosives. And impact explosives are pretty important in coal pits. What does Worm Love do? Worms like to run you down. It attracts worms to run your ass down into the ground. Worm Digging. Remove Worm Digging or Feared by Worms means worms avoid you and they no longer leave holes. And Looky also no longer leave holes because, sure. That means, the only reason I would say less than 0% is it means that if you're in the mountain above jungle, you can't stand there and wait for a Looky to dig you out so you can keep editing in that mountain. And otherwise it has 0 benefits. and it has exactly one vaguely situational negative, and so I would literally never take it. I'm not sure where, like, it's not 0%, it's definitely some negative number, but it's a small one, like negative 0.1% or something like that. No wand editing, it's negative. Would you like to give up your ability to craft better wands in exchange for a 6% chance to get the drop of another perk that also isn't very good to begin with? No. Speaking of not very good to begin with, I put it in like 10%, honestly. I see a lot of people valuing this pretty highly. It's just like not much healing. What are the percents? This is the amount of damage that I would consider the, damage increase that I would consider the perk equivalent to. What that means is, if I go to, and this is in the first mountain for a short run for an experienced player, if you see this perk, and we're given a choice between this perk and this increase in damage, then it is a hard choice. So what I mean by that is, if I see crit plus in the first mountain and I see 25% in the first mountain, I'm like, I can't decide between these. They're roughly equivalent-ish. And obviously, it's not going to be a perfect system, but I wanted to more concretely think about it rather than just saying, oh, I like this one, or oh, I don't like this one. Speaking of, haha, got him. Actually, we're not going to put this on the tier list at all, because it's not a perk that you ever choose between. And here's where I address the fact that all perk tier lists are, for Noita, are playstyle dependent. There's going to be a lot of people who rate Boomerang and Eat Your Vegetables as much worse because, yeah, it was laggy. Because they don't want to change their playstyles to benefit from the huge increase in damage. Similarly, I don't want to change my playstyle to benefit from the absolutely nothing that Looking Mutation gives you. More hatred? I put it in 0%, honestly. Looking Mutation is the one perk where I picked it up and immediately went to get resources for the null altar. The Looky and Leggy both are like, would you like to catastrophically change the way that your momentum feels in the game? And also, like, in theory, I don't mind it. The idea of you can only levitate near surfaces, but near surfaces you have infinite levitation is, like, not a bad, in theory. If the legs were longer and, like, it wasn't buggy and it had its old functionality where, like, you had your momentum intact, that would be nice. I might put it up here, or up here even. But even in the best of circumstances, it's like, why would you, it doesn't even give you anything. Letting Hisi base murder itself can be useful with enemies attacking each other rather than you. What? Do they do that? Is this something I don't know? More hatred. More hatred. Yeah. I'd agree. I'm more love and more hatred are kind of weird because I think more hatred's the better perk, but more love is like the one that you take because they're both pretty bad, and 4 more loves is cracked out of its mind, but 1 more love is like sometimes Steve doesn't punch you as quick. 1 stack of more love is like sometimes an enemy will think for a little bit before shooting you, which is not terrible actually. Maybe they're both in 5%. Maybe they are both in 5%. Yeah, I'd take a more love if it was just sitting there. That's probably right. Trick Blood Money doesn't heal you for very much. That's why it's here. You have to build a certain way, and it doesn't give you a very large reward. You might convince me to put it in 20%, but I think you'd have a hard sell. I think its true value is probably about 15%. But I feel more comfortable putting it in the 10% tier. Gas fire, that's a probably less than 0. Like, I think probably you're more likely to take a small amount of fire damage than a small amount from gas fire than you are from freezing vapor. I don't know. It's like somewhere in here. I've certainly not ran the math on whether gas fire is net positive or not. Faster wands, maybe at 20%. You'd say 0. It feels like a net 0 to me. Faster wands gives you a little bit better, actually significantly better than 20% faster wands that you're currently holding. I would consider this like another 15%er, like this, but I'd consider it maybe high 15%. Because getting a large boost to your DPS of your wand for one floor, a lot of people will say like, but then you find a better wand and now all that was wasted. It wasn't wasted because it let you find that better wand. It let you explore the level in more detail by taking less damage because your weapon was stronger. And not only was your weapon stronger, your digging was stronger and your teleporting was better. Because all of your wands that you're holding got better. Assuming you have digging and teleporting. I mean, I hope you have digging. I hope you have digging. But maybe you don't have teleporting. So I'd put it in a low 20%. I'm thinking about trying to order the tiers left to right as well. Let's try and go through this. I'd probably take Oil Blood over Homunculus. This probably goes like way down here. Gas Fire at least feels like it does something. Same with these. They at least like feel like they do something. Bouncing maybe goes here. I don't know. I'm so like blasé about all of these perks. It's hard to order them. If you get caught off guard by propane, you take like 20 less damage. That's true. You don't take the rats because they lag the shit on my game. Any of the rat perks? That's unfortunate. Left is better. Yeah, that's where I was thinking. Left better. Breathless is like terrible though. At least it feels like it does something. None of these do anything, but at least Breathless, like, you feel like, alright, now I can't drown. Now I can go fight Leviathan. Even though we're in a short run, so we're not fighting Leviathan. I don't know. I'll take fire immunity over leg day. I mean, I won't because never skip leg day. It's in the damn name. But yeah, we'll put this at the bottom. That's not one we're evaluating. Faster movement. That's a hard one to evaluate. Let's try to find some more offensive perks to sort of... Well, let's start there actually. This is one of the most dog shit perks in the game. Gives you a terrible, terrible laser in exchange for crippling your wand builds for forever. Great. Fungal disease is less than 0. That's, is that this one? This one? Or the mushroom one? The other mushroom one. Hold on, they're all here. Just, like, toss them in there, one at a time when you see them. There they are. Levy Trail, less than 0. All the mushrooms are bad. Why would you want to make explosive mushrooms? Don't cause explosions to come into existence around you. 2 perks that I want to love are Personal Laser Beam and Projectile Dupe, but I just can't love them because they make my life hard. Yeah, they're terrible. Terrible, terrible perks. Where is Projectile Dupe? Here he is. Get in there. Levy Trail. Levy Trail's less than 0. I agree because of its interaction with shields. It counts as a projectile for deleting your own shields. Breathless feels life when they're water or other liquids since you get that 100% movement buff, though it's very niche and usually not beneficial. Yeah. I would not trade any percent of damage for any amount of speed in water. Put Gamba at less than 0 because it can give you a perk. Ah, yeah, I agree. I wouldn't take Gamble or I wouldn't take Gamble if it was free. Because you could just lose the run on the spot. I mean, not necessarily lose the run, but it could give you no wand editing or plasma. And then you're like, well, shit, now I gotta figure out how to hack my way out of this one. Viala has one opinion, homing is 5% or below. Homing is 5% or below. I disagree. I put it at least 10%. Is quite good for a number of builds. On a regular run by a skilled player, yeah. You'd say 10 or 20? Yeah, that's where I was feeling. On a run to just kill Colmy by a player with, say, 500 hours, I think homing is definitely a significant asset. It can be a little frustrating to use occasionally, but being able to, like, spray and pray into fungal is very, very good. Being able to set up homing rocks, yeah, that's a great point there, Morthau. Yeah, I would agree. I put it in 20. I think that's where I was leaning as well. I think it's I don't want to say it's better than Faster Wands, but I think it is better than Faster Wands. If you have Long Telly that also humps to enemies, yeah, it does. It's a little frustrating to use with some things, but I think like, don't Long Telly around enemies? Maybe? Homing is really good because it's really easy to fight at super long ranges with homing, which means that you don't need to get into close combat, which means you shouldn't be in a situation where you need to teleport out right now. So I think it covering for that own, it covers for its own weakness in that sense. Shield is 200% because it can protect you from polymorph. So you would say that also projectile slower and repulsion and hungry ghost and phasing and invisibility and etc. are 200%? No, I disagree very strongly. Polymorph is not a significant concern in a short run. Period. The liquid a little bit, but projectiles that polymorph you in a short run is going to you're gonna see one polymage and fungal maybe, and then you're gonna not see any poly projectiles until temple. It's fine. Actually, I have no idea. Shield is a little bit hard. That was one of the ones that I was having difficulty thinking about earlier as well. Especially since I value repulsion extremely highly. I would not put repulsion less than 50%, I would think. In the first mountain, shield is 50%. 50% felt like repulsion shield territory to me. Repulsion's probably 100%. I'll put shield in 50 for now. I'm not sure that I put repulsion in there. Shield is just like, is good. Is good. It's always good. It's no downsides. It's just damn good all the time. But it's not cracked, you know? Would I take Last Cannon over Shield? Probably not. Would I take Repulsion over Shield? Probably. Early on when you can't kill enemies before they fire back. That's true. All-Seeing Eye, I feel like, is another 50% tier. I'll tentatively place it there for now. It should be maybe zoomed in more. Maybe? No. It's fine. If you stack Repulsion, almost nothing can get through it. True, but you're not going to stack Repulsion in a short run. Speaking of stacking, though, if you stacked it with Projectile Slower, why is nothing between 50 and 100%? There's 50%, between 50 and 100%. Just because I didn't add a tier there yet. We can add one for sure. If you think that there needs to be a tier there. For more, if you think there's not enough granularity there. We don't have all day? Oh, we got all day. Oh, we have all day. I am planning on uploading this to YouTube as well. And timestamping perks. Hungry Ghost? How do we feel about this Hungry Ghost? I mean, I could honestly place him anywhere here. In a short run, he feels not super strong defensively. Honestly, 100 in a short run? The buff doesn't come up much in a short run. Eating projectiles, I don't feel like it comes up that much in a short run. Don't get me wrong, Hungry Ghost is the strongest perk in the game in the long run. By far. Hungry Ghost does go, True, you can feed the ghost on your own. I always forget about that. So Hungry Ghost, how he works, is every, 3 seconds, you can eat a projectile, enemy or ally, some certain allies projectiles, and it'll give you a buff that gives you 25% extra damage per projectile, so like how concentrated Boomerang, eat your vegetables, etc. stack. If you're just using him, so like if you've got a multicast of 10, you can get like a times 7 damage multiplier easy per buff. So like 2 buffs, because you can get 2 buffs from one Hungry Ghost, you can get a times 50 damage, no problem. You can consistently find the spells for it pretty early on. The only spells that I know are glitter bombs though. But glitter bombs are clunky to use. You're not going to be able to chain glitter bombs over and over and over again, because you have to switch wand and over again. You have to switch between your wands. You gotta put them into the right place, and then the buff only lasts for 4 seconds. I know glitter bombs. I know Magic Guard, Big Magic Guard, Spiral Shot. What other is there another common, easy to use one? Yeah, but if you're not using Hungry Ghost for damage, it says, you don't need to change them, and if you need Hungry Ghost for damage, then you have a bigger problem. But if you're not using it for damage, then you're not getting almost any benefit out of it, other than he'll eat a projectile every 4 seconds. But I think that's nowhere near comparable to shield or repulsion or projectile slower in terms of defense or phasing. And so the only thing that Hungry Ghost is doing that those perks don't is the damage. And if you're not using the damage, If you're not actively keeping the buff up, I just don't think it's doing a lot for you. I can put it next to Close Call. That's where I'm sitting right now, is them having the same kind of situationally incredibly strong damage. Prickly Spore, Pod, Spiral Shot, Bounce Modifiers? What is Bounce Modifiers? Bolt Bundles? What? Like Explosive Bounce? Bubble Bounce, Concentrated Light Bounce. Okay, okay. Wait, there's a use for Bubbly Bounce. Incredible. Bolt Bundles is like the Vertical Bolt Bundle, Octagonal Bolt Bundle. Okay. That's a fairly large amount of them, but I feel like only the Magic Guards are like really top tier usable. If you get a Magic Guard or a big Magic Guard, I would put it in 50%. But I think 33 is where he goes. It's... I'm trying to think if I would take it over 50%. That's a hard choice. We'll come back to him, maybe. Or we'll forget. Saving Grace. In a short run, I would put very little respect on Saving Grace. You would take Hungry Ghost over All Seeing Eye? You're crazy. You're crazy. All Seeing Eye is free, infinite, good decision making. What did I just put down? Saving Grace? Yeah, 10% feels right. I put very little respect on Saving Grace in a short run. When you're not guaranteed to have any kind of healing, and in fact, any kind of healing is like fairly rare, especially since there's only one decent healing perk, or one like top tier healing perk, and most of the others are pretty pass over them and don't even think about it. I would put very little respect on Saving Grace. Speaking of top tier healing perks, I think we start here and move up from here. Would I trade a 33% damage increase for Wand Experimenter? I feel like I would. I feel like Wand Experimenter is really strong. 104 HP for a Shuffle Wand, or for a non-Shuffle Wand, versus or 69 HP for a Shuffle Wand over 7 casts, and the fact that if you're inside a mountain, if you pull a spell off the wand and drop it directly onto the ground without putting it into your inventory or another wand slot or anything like that, technically doesn't count as editing for some reason, and the wand can still heal you. So you can take those wands back to the mountain, remove all the spells from them, toss them directly on the ground, cast the empty wand for free, could totally save healing. It's crazy good. I'm happy to place Wand Experimenter that high, I think. Glass Cannon is looking like he's maybe too high. Although maybe that means that we need a 75% tier here. Because I feel like Glass Cannon is a 50%er. And I feel like some of these maybe are being undervalued in their current tier. Potentially. Let's pick let's go for some easy ones real quick. Exploding Gold. I don't want my gold to light me on fire, thank you. Exploding Corpses. I don't like my enemies to light me on fire, thank you. That's not true. I'd put it in 5%. It is explosion immunity. It lights me on fire all the time. Telekick, I'd put it 0. Yeah, I think so. You lose the ability to... if Telekick Trick killed, I think I'd put it much, much higher. Whoops. But as is, it doesn't trick kill, so like just shoot him with your wand, and also you didn't have to be throwing around dangerous explosives or whatever. I think it's pretty high up here. Knockback on spells, yeah, that's a low percent, less than 0% for sure. Because you want to hit enemies with multiple consecutive shots, and if your first shot knocks them away from your other shots, that's bad. Angry Ghost can steal enemy explosive projectiles and while you are rapid firing your wand, and now suddenly you are covered in TNT. Goodbye. And then other than that, it doesn't do much. Always cast less than 0. I can see that. But if I put it in 0, because we're talking about the first mountain, you can feel okay throwing an always cast on your bomb wand and just seeing what comes out. Because you don't have to put it on your main wand. I'm fine ruining a bomb wand to potentially get, like, a very strong wand in fungal. Because you could walk out of that with a very, very strong wand in fungal. Which can give you a lot of resources. What are some other easy gets? Electricity less than 0. I would yeah, but like it's at the top of less than 0. Obviously you don't like the fact that it lights explosives on fire when you're near them, but you do like the fact that it means that you're pretty safe from Uko and some other things. Maybe you don't like it, but it's got some clear upsides to it compared to a lot of the rest of this detritus. Boomerang top tier. I agree. The huge damage that it gives you is super big. This is not one that we're rating because it is not a perk in the Holy Mountain. Yes, it gives you a massive, massive boost to your damage. Attract gold, I would put in 0%. It's like kind of nice, but why? Just go pick it up. Like, it's nice that I don't have to go pick it up, but let me pick it up. Yeah, you get plenty for vampirism. More blood is not necessary for even the situations when you would want it. It's not really necessary. I always find it more detrimental. Hate perks that permanently change how you use spells fire. If you are able to play around Boomerang spells, you will find that it trivializes most runs with how much damage it gives you. It is extremely, extremely powerful. It has some downsides, don't get me wrong, but it also makes some spells even more powerful than they otherwise were. Like Luminous Drill is crazy good. I've talked about Boomerang already in this, but top 3 tips: Spark Timers, not Spark Triggers. Luminous Drill is your friend, and Circle of Freezing is hilarious. Those are the top 3 things that I would tell you to give a try with Boomerang spells. It turns Luminous Drill all on its own, like on, honestly, just the 10-7 that you can get in the first level into a game-winning wand. It's hilarious. Unlimited spells, I'd only put in 5%, honestly. The more I play the game, the less I like unlimited spells. It's like, it doesn't give you unlimited of any of the spells you actually, like, want. And really, unlimited spells is just, like, unlimited digging. It's like, yeah, I guess I'd trade it for an extra energy orb. It just lets you dig. There's not a lot of, like, good staple spells that are limited because they're probably put it at 10%. Would you give up 10% flat increase the damage? You were doing 100 damage with your wand, now it's doing 110? You'd trade that for unlimited spells? Yeah, me too, Cutter. Even when I take unlimited spells, I just don't use the now unlimited spells. I mean, I just don't see value in them, even if they weren't. Even if I started with unlimited spells out of the gate, I feel like Blood I would certainly use. Maybe Blood Cloud if I had Eat Your Vegetables or Vampirism for sure. What other spells would I use that are limited? It's true. Unlimited TNT or magic missiles and fungal. There's something to be said about that. If we're talking about the first mountain, you know what? I'll put it in 10%. That's fair. I feel like it's just barely squeaking in there. Gonna have to build up a TNT wand to play with unlimited more. Not a big fan overall. And actually, if you use Nala or you multicast like some explosives together with unlimited spells, that's actually pretty cracked. You like put a trigger into a multicast of like some big explosives. There's something there. Alright, I'll put you in 10%. That's fine. Invisibility. Hello. Maybe here, even. Invisibility is the you can walk to the boss for free perk. And, like, truly just nothing can stop you. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm literally just going for a win, it might even be, like, way up there. I think I'd probably... Oh, man, is it better than concentrated spells? It kind of is, isn't it? I don't like this perk at all, but it's such a, like, free W. It's literally like, what if enemies couldn't see you? And also, the terrain doesn't explode near you because the enemies aren't making it explode. And, like, once you're good at hover flying and avoiding stains... List of things that can stop you. You accidentally into a humid biome, or you accidentally into a it's raining everywhere biome. Whatever. Suddenly, where'd all this water come from? I feel like it's like you absolutely, yeah, you don't get shot from off screen. Even Noita go. There's like some temple enemies. Okay, there are some temple enemies who will chase you and give you a problem. And there's sometimes you won't find an easy way or a possible way to like navigate through the biome without getting stained or whatever. But given the fact that Rainbow Trail is accessible in most runs and washes you off of all your stains, or you could use Worm Pheromone to wash off your stains, or Ambrosia, or if you got Toxic Immunity, you can use Toxic Sludge, or Worm Blood, or, like, there's many ways to get rid of stains. You can even stand in fire if you got Fire Immunity. I feel like it's below Concentrated, though, because of the ways that it's slightly hard to use. In Concentrated Spells is so not hard to use at all. It's so easy a caveman could do it, is Concentrated Spells' new tagline. Revenge Rats. 10%? It's really good getting comboed protection, because the AI splits its focus as soon as it sees an extra rat. You get hit once and the AI is like, oh, rat, I want to shoot it. Other than that, it's not like, and then they do help you clean up the fight. They do decent damage, but like, this can save you from getting Uko'd, because you can get a rat off the Uko, and then if the rat walks away from you, which he often does, there's like a 50/50, the Uko shoots the rat instead, and then you're safe. So, that type of thing happens fairly often. It's not super often. I wouldn't put any more respect on it than this, I don't think. Teleportitis dodge. How are we feeling about this one today? Are we feeling bad about it like we normally do? I feel like, honestly, recently, I feel like it's a 0% perk. In my head, at least. I see it there and I'm like, do I really want this? It's gonna make me go somewhere I don't want to be. I mean, it's great for dodging, but sometimes you get into worse situations. Only taken it a few times and it's killed me. It avoids a lot of damage, but I don't want to take it purely because it's kind of volatile. It's like, sometimes you'll take it and it like constantly teleports you to the safest place possible and saves you over and over again. And sometimes you take it and it instantly dunks you in acid and it never seems to be consistent at all. I put it in 0%. I feel like it's hard to justify taking it, but it's also kind of hard to justify not taking it. Mournful Spirit. It's a 5%. That's a healthy 5%. Yeah, it's a very small TP range. I don't really mean it instantly dunks you in acid, but it can teleport. It can teleport you into the projectile that triggered it. Which is, like, it could be missing you, going over you, enter the bubble that causes the trigger, and then the teleports you into the projectile. And that happens, like, not super uncommonly. Because, like, sometimes it does just damage you, which is funny. Mournful Spirits actually does, like, maybe I put it in 10%, actually. It's not that bad. It helps you clear out those big areas pretty efficiently. Or those, like, choke points with a lot of enemies in them. The Hisi CEO, Mournful Spirit, Rex. And he can be otherwise sometimes somewhat tricky to take care of. In Fungal, like, Mournful Spirit takes names and kicks ass. Same with Plague Rats. I'd put Plague Rats a little higher, I think, than Mournful Spirits. Probably not that high, though. Maybe a 20%er. Maybe a 20. No, come on. He can't be 20%. There's no way. But in Fungal, Plague Rats is pretty cracked. We'll put him here. Hey, McQueeb! Hello. We're sitting together. We're sitting down and putting together a Noita tier list. How's it going, my guy? Welcome on in, Raiders. Dr. J, how could you do this to me? The criteria by which we're rating these perks is for an experienced player, we're talking like 500 plus hours, who's going for a regular win under normal conditions. If you saw this perk in the first mountain and you were offered a choice between that perk and a % increase in damage, what % increase in damage would make that a hard choice? So that's the specific criteria we're going for here. And for those who don't know me, I play a lot of Noita. I currently have like 1,500 hours in Noita. So I do feel somewhat qualified to be talking about this, but feel free to share your own opinions, and I may or may not ignore them. Anyways, where were we? Morphle Ghost and Plague Rats. Kick-ass take names in Fungal specifically, for sure. And Hisi, without a doubt. But they're not too powerful outside of that. Am I better than McQueeb? Like, McQueeb hasn't played a lot of Noita recently. I think he's definitely back in it, but I feel like I'm in my prime in Noita, and I feel like McQueeb is just getting his sea legs back. But, you know, we'll see. Only one way to find out. Fight. That's quite possible. Noita PvP win. The Noita Nemesis seems pretty good. Contact damage is 5% maybe? Is it worth 5%? For the headbutt build? Put freezing on a teleport. And headbutt people. Contact damage is melee damage, so it triggers freeze kick. So if you put Homebringer teleport or a regular teleport or a short teleport with a freeze charge on it, and you hit an enemy with it, it'll freeze that enemy and teleport you onto each other, and contact damage will instantly kill them. In the first mountain, I see maybe even 10%. That makes sense, because it's really good melee protection as well. Yeah, the blobs. The blobs. That's true. I'd give 10%. Would I take it over Saving Grace? I don't think so. Would I take it over Unlimited Spells? Probably. Probably. Where are we here? Iron Stomach. So, 20% is my gut area. Contact damage was how I found out there was a pacifist chest. Does it not count as, player kills? That's news to me. That's an interesting news to me. It's not that interesting, actually, I guess. But, Iron Stomach. One thing that you can do with Iron Stomach is if you see concentrated mana, you can basically immediately get a ×4 mana regen for the rest of the run. Concentrated mana gives you ×4 mana charge speed. And Iron Stomach lets you turn all the water in the Holy Mountain into concentrated mana and then drink all of it and get like 1,500 seconds of increased mana recharge. And that's pretty valuable, as it turns out. Even if you're not talking about the other effects that it has, which is obviously it synergizes extremely powerfully with Eat Your Vegetables. Pretty sure most people are aware of that interaction by now. And because Eat Your Vegetables is a high tier perk, I'm very likely to take it when I see it. So something that synergizes with something I'm more likely to have is obviously better than synergizing with something I'm less likely to have. So I think I would put it in the 25% range. Concentrated mana is a fairly common liquid. It's not unlikely to imagine that you'll have some or know where some is, or you'll see some in the rest of the run fairly quickly. I can agree with that. I like to see an agreement. Vampirism? As it is, it's like 10%. It's fallen out of favor with me. Quite a lot. Yeah, and the reason why I think it's fallen out of favor with me quite a lot is it's a lot of 20%. I can vibe on 20% for sure. Normally, or previously, it would be like up in the high tiers because it does give quite a lot of healing. But now I have to think about comparing it to the other healing perks like Wand Experimenter and Eat Your Vegetables. And I know Eat Your Vegetables isn't really a healing perk, but if Vampirism didn't give you the max HP hit, I might consider bringing it up to 33%. But the fact that it does give you the hit to HP is a bit of an ask. Although it is the first mountain, it's the best mountain for a Vampirism, without a doubt. So it's hard to say. It is very much hard to say. Let's see, what else can we think about? Gold is forever? That's a 0. No, that's a 5%. It's a 10%. It's a lot of gold that it gives you. If you ever actually played with Gold is Forever instead of, like, shying away from it like a coward who's afraid of lag, like I did for a long time, it does give quite a lot of gold. Just because of the sheer amount of healing you get in one of the most dangerous areas in the game. What area would that be? Are we talking about Vault? That you get from... Hisi. I thought you were talking about the blood piles. Gold is Forever is a lot of gold, especially in a place like Fungal. Yeah, the reason I would only still put it in 10% is because gold's like not that valuable, folks. It's not that great, you know? It's okay. It buys you a little bit of... When you get down to it, it's gonna get you perk rerolls, which are nice, for sure. But the fact that it buys you wands or spells is not very impactful because you will find many more wands and spells in a level than you will in the Holy Mountain. So even if you had enough gold to buy out the whole Holy Mountain, that's still like not that much of an increase to your offensive power in your wands and spells. But it is a lot of gold. We're talking about if you get it in the first mountain. So all of this is first mountain, experienced player going for a short win. That's where we're at. Speaking of first mountain, let's talk about... actually, are we done with gold? Are we... I put it there. It's closer to 15% than 10%, I would say. It's maybe like a 14. Greed, I would say, is about the same as Gold is Forever, maybe a little bit better. I'm not sure whether Greed or Gold is Forever gets you more gold. I have no idea. But principally, they're both get more gold, and they both get you a lot more gold, especially early. But I don't find that very valuable in general. Trick Greed, I feel like, is worse than both of them by a long shot, for sure. You'd rather have Gold is Forever if you wanted gold, I think. I think they can go, like, right next to each other. That's fine. We can switch them. Trick Greed is, like, greed but worse. And that's not a position where you'd like to be in. You know? It's just not a great position to be in. Technically, it does give you more healing from this other not very good perk. But I don't think that's really something to consider. Teleportitis, getting a short win. Welcome to 20%. Experienced player, get yourself a short win. I'm happy on a low 20%. That's where I'm thinking about Teleportitis. Because the main difficulty in a short run is getting to the boss alive. And Teleportitis gives you 30% damage reduction and gets you to the boss. And then an experienced player can normally, kill the boss hitless, I would say. At 500 hours, I don't think it's too much of an ask. Although, first mountain Teleportitis, I think, does go down. Because you're not guaranteed to have a boss killer yet. Maybe around here. I hadn't thought of that yet. We'll put it down there for now. We'll maybe revisit it. And if you don't know, the direction of your teleport when you get teleported is determined by where you're pointing your cursor. So it is very easy to travel almost straight downward every time you teleport. It's very good for teleporting. Peace with gods. Why take it? Why not take it? I guess it's 5%. That's a safety net. That's one less thing that could kill you. I don't necessarily think that Steve or Scode is gonna kill me if I'm like really trying, but you know, it's happened before. There's clips. We all know there's clips. Now we're getting to the stuff where it's a little bit harder to, well, in a short run, take me out, dude. Repelling Cape's trash in a short run. He is so bad. I took Peace the other day early, but still managed to anger them later. How? I think your game may have glitched, is my only guess. I have truly no idea what happened there. Freeze Field is fire immunity, and it's lava immunity, and it's you get stuck and you get comboed, then you die. So it is here. You get stuck in the blood that came out when you got shot, and you get trapped in your own pixels of blood, and then you die. Still managed to get a Steve. Huh. Just don't get stuck. That's a good point, Arachnid. That's a good point, actually. I never thought about it like that. 4-head. 5-head, even. High mana, low capacity is less than 0. Yeah, in a short run, it's a terrible, terrible perk. For sure. I agree. I'm trying to think about, like, if there's any other easy gets here. Never even take it on long runs. If you're doing the thing where you're building up a hilariously big wand, that's something, but you don't even need to do that anymore. You really didn't even need to before, but now you really don't need to. After they got on the mountain, they got all pissed off as usual. I blame Solar, I think, probably for that one. Save Kiwi, I put in 5%. You could preserve a mountain for editing once. It's pretty bad, but being able to take that and have that in your back pocket for later, it's not terrible. It's like, maybe it's here. I think it's probably here, now that I'm thinking about it. I think that's probably a little bit too niche of a use. Especially in the first mountain, giving up your first perk for a plus for a nothing for a while. It's pretty bad. Stronger Hearts is a weird one because the first level after you take Stronger Hearts, it's strictly worse to have it. Unless you have any kind of healing. Because it doesn't give you any extra survivability on that level, and it causes you to take more fire and toxic and poison damage. I'm not saying that makes it a bad perk, I just think it's interesting and funny to note. Would I put it in 20% tier? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, because you'll have more max HP off of Stronger Hearts, and fire does damage to you based off your max HP. So if you let's say you walked into a level, you have 100 max HP, and you're on fire for 10 seconds, you'll take 20 damage. If you took a heart, if you got an empty heart, you now have 125 max HP, 100 current HP. You're on fire for 10 seconds, you'll take 22.5 damage. Now you're down to 77.5 instead of 80. And if you had Stronger Hearts, and you picked up that heart, now you're at 150 max, you're at 100 current, but fire's based off your max HP. You're on fire for 10 seconds, you'll take 25 damage rather than 22.5. So it's like it's small. You take more damage at higher HP, but it's always the same percentage. It's the percent of your maximum HP, not your current HP. I think fire is 2% per second. I think toxic is like 5%, or maybe it's also 2%, or maybe it's 3%, or who knows. Numbers are hard to remember sometimes. 25? 20? 25, 20? I'm not sure. Ooh, this is a nice song. We groovin'. So if, for example, you were at you had like 100 current HP and 1,000,000 max HP, fire would kill you almost immediately. But if you had 100 current HP and 100 max HP, fire would take 25 seconds to kill you, or 40, whatever exactly it is. I used to remember, and then I kind of stopped caring. It's a small amount of damage that doesn't matter. That's why fire immunity is so low, because fire doesn't do much damage. Kills to mana? I might take a 5% for a kills to mana. I think I might take a 5%. I don't see anything necessarily wrong with a 5% for kills to mana. It's kind of an awkward one. Fire still chips away at my health, so I love having the immunity. That 5%, yeah. Building your wand to take advantage of kills to mana necessitates that your wand uses more mana than you'd like to begin with, and I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just build the best wand that I could have always consistently fire. You could get a large benefit out of building your wand like that, but is it worth it? I'm not sure. I wouldn't say so. I'd say it's maybe nice sometimes. It's maybe not really that much. Even. Melee immunity. I'd give up 20% to be immune to melee. Why not? Melee sucks. Melee is often fairly chunky damage. It's not uncommon. Lets you kill dragon for a wand almost for free, although honestly I haven't had to fight dragon in like a damn year. I feel like that's probably the best immunity. Maybe up here. I feel like explosion's like a 20%er. Because, and I know that there's a lot of people who are like, explosion immunity is the best perk in the game, and they're wrong. Because what you guys need to stop doing is stop standing on explosives and stop digging into snow piles that you can't see if they have a propane in them. But I like explosives. All-Seeing Eye is better than any immunity. I totally agree. But I like nukes. Explosion immunity can be funny. It can be enable amusing builds for sure. But they're not good builds. There is explosive projectile material, which is a dang good build, but those are fairly uncommon spells. They don't come up often. And if you've explored enough of the level to find materials and explosive spells or whatever your build for explosive projectile is, like you've probably found just like spark triggers and chainsaws or you know, drilling bolts or whatever. You don't need to rely on needing a perk to not kill yourself. Just build a wand that doesn't kill yourself. Best perk there is, or just messing your own mapping badly. I don't know what that means. Feels weird, man. We don't always feels weird, man. We know that that's what you do. I'm judging you? That's fine. You know why. Is it the legs? Could be the legs. So, for anyone who wasn't here since the beginning, I'll do a little quick recap. This is for an experienced player, say 500% plus damage, or plus 500 hours plus, going for a short run win, so just killing Comey. If you walk into the first mountain and you're given the choice between a perk and a flat percent increase to damage for the duration of the run, what percent damage increase makes that a hard choice? It's not about what's fun or whether you need it, Weeto. This is win percents, statistics. Why use explosive when you can have explosive homing rocks? Now you're talking. You're not saying anything good, but you are talking. Flat percent. You know what I mean. So that is the context in what the percents are. That's what the percents are. Let's talk about Revenge Tentacles and similarly Slime Blood. I would consider them to be better than any of the immunities. I definitely believe that you take more than 4 times projectile than you do melee or explosion. They both give 25% resistance to projectiles. And they have an additional small benefit. Slime removing slow is pretty pog. Revenge Tentacle actually slaps pretty hard, but the big benefit is they take much less. You take significantly less projectile damage. And I kind of feel like 25% is kind of right there. Oil Blood is versus 0% skip. Yeah, because fire immunity is, I would say, just exactly balanced by the fact that you slip around all the time when you have Oil Blood. It's so annoying. Every time that you have Oil Blood, you're covered in oil so much. And then you're just like constantly like, whoops, can't stand still. Whoops, whoops, whoops. And that's like a small negative, but like fire immunity is a tiny benefit. Yeah, if Oil Blood removed the slip effect, I'd put it above fire immunity. Interesting idea for a list. Why is Boomerang at 100%? Because Boomerang spells, similarly to concentrated spells, adds 15 damage per projectile in a multicast. So if you have a multicast of, say, 4 Spark Bolts, each Spark Bolt will do 15 times 4 damage, or 60, and the bundle of 4 will do 240 damage. Plus the actual base damage of the Spark Bolts, and then it'll also have 20% crit chance from the Spark Bolts. But that's, neither here nor there. 240 damage is enough. It's below concentrated spells, despite doing more damage than it, because it's harder to use. And it's easier to kill yourself with it. But there's a couple tips that make it much more smooth to use. Number one is timers work much better than triggers. The type of timer that shoots it off after a set period of time, not the type of timer that shoots it off when the projectile expires. So spark timers, for example, is perfect with Boomerang spells. You can even chain them together, and you'll get all your range back that you lost by taking Boomerang spells. Luminous drills are extremely powerful with Boomerang spells. They get a tremendous damage increase. Their range is much longer. Their projectile, they can dig through everything just great. The circle spells will sit on top of you like a homing mist that follows you, and it'll be like a discount melee immunity, and it's very funny. I don't think it's necessarily that strong, but I think it's much stronger than a regular circle spell is. So those are my 3 sort of basic building blocks for learning how to use boomerang spells. And also, like, don't forget you have boomerang spells. Where are we going here? Wand Radar. I have previously, in previous tier lists, placed it highly. I would now consider it to be a pretty bad perk. An experienced player, again, 500 plus hours, they're going to be able to see all the wands on the level. Come on. Just, like, explore the whole level. Just, like, see the wands with your eyes. They glow through walls from a great distance. It's fine. Enemy radar does literally nothing. I would not trade anything for it. Item radar is a little harder because it can show you invisible hearts or hearts that are hiding or treasure chests that are hiding. But an experienced player, they're going to know some of those heart locations already, so it's not going to be as impactful for them as I think Stronger Hearts is, but I think it's going to be roughly on the same tier. Would I give up 20% damage for item radar? I think that sounds appropriate in my head. I think that sounds appropriate. Would I give up item radar for 20% damage? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a hard decision. I think that's a hard call. Faster projectiles is probably a take it or leave it perk. There's not really much to say about it. There's not a whole... Oh, that's a great solar emote. Using his eyes to see it. Yeah, faster projectiles also has the same invisible modifier stacking mechanic that concentrated spells, boomerang spells, eat your vegetables, close call, bouncing spells all have. Where the more you multicast them together, the more prominent the effect becomes. But I don't think it quite slides it into negative tier. It's just like, why would you want your projectiles faster, but also why would you want them slower? It's sort of just like a nothing of a perk in a lot of ways. It's a little annoying. Your black holes are a little better. What do you want from me? For the same reason, I think Pinpointer is slightly better. It goes somewhere around here, maybe. I stopped left to right mostly ordering them because I forgot. It's a little better than faster projectiles. It's less extreme, faster speeds, and it also comes with concentrating the spells, but I don't like that it creates a visual effect. I'm not big on that. You know, something that I've just noticed is like some of these perks have a tint on them. Why'd you do that? This is Ephemeris's tier list, right? Yeah, Ephemeris, why'd you do that? What's your problem, man? Low recoil. Low recoil is another one that is a take it or leave it one. It's fine. It can make your, like, it can... It's maybe even negative, actually. In a short run, the way that it makes your projectiles go so slow is a little sus. It's not what you would like to see, I don't think. It can impact your range negatively. Removing recoil may not even be what you want, but it does synergize very nicely with concentrated spells. I don't know. Probably bad. Probably bad. And of note is that it also has the stacking modifier mechanic. So if you multicast like 20 projectiles, they go and they fall to the ground immediately instead of going anywhere. It's very funny. Projectile repulsion, like, I'm done with him. I don't think he's very good. I can't aim. Are you kidding me? We're gonna put these next to each other because you gotta actively use them. I think they're actually fine. I think they're okay defensive perks. 25% feels appropriate to them. I feel like I do prefer the Matter Eater to the Repulsion. You want lower? Yeah, Explosion Immunity, 20% at most. Hold on, we're gonna do a little bit of rearranging in this tier. It's not gonna matter that much. I'm just, you know, tossing these around. I think that's what I would take. I think I typically skew towards offensive perks a little bit, personally. Maybe that's why I use damage as the tier list comparison rather than health. If I had used health, extra health would have been a pretty easy one to rank. Extra HP, I would put it, if we're talking about the first mountain, I mean, that's a free 50 health. That's just walk into the mountain, walk into 2 hearts that are full. That's gonna make you a cracked little man it's not up that high, I was just putting it there. That's gonna be pretty dang good in fungal. You're gonna have a lot of time, and you can delay picking it up to use it as almost a full or half of a full heal for later. The fact that it heals you on picking it up, I think I would take it over Stronger Hearts in most runs. Yeah, Stronger Hearts is gonna give you, yeah, more than half if you find hearts. Yeah, Stronger Hearts is gonna give you more health in the long term, but the early part of a Noita run is where all the, like, where runs are built. It's where you make or break a run. You're not gonna, like, hobble through the run and get to the vault, and then suddenly you're like, oh, thank goodness I have an extra 300 health from Stronger Hearts. Without that, I wouldn't have won. It's just, like, not how it works. It's all about the early game in Noita. And really with, like, a lot of roguelikes. Like, think of any roguelike where you're like, you know, getting a very strong item early on in Isaac just, like, ends the run before it even begins. You know what I mean? Revenge Bullets, I would say, it's a nice projectile resistance, some explosion resistance, if I remember correctly, but if someone shoots me with a bullet that explodes, a projectile that explodes, I would like to not emit one of those, actually, believe it or not. But the resistance that it does is, like, pretty significant. I think you're gonna save HP in the long run, so I think it's positive, but I think it's, like, barely at the low end of 10%. Maybe it's even like a 5%. We're coming to most of the way through here. If anyone has any strong opinions on these perks, by the way, feel free to chime in. Or don't. I'm happy to talk to myself as well. Phasing, I feel like is a 25% damage. It feels right to me. I don't have a lot of justification for this one. Phasing is one of those that I feel like always does more than I give it credit for. And so I feel like it's a 20% perk, so I'm going to give it 25. It seems to, you know, it's a pretty strong defensive perk. Electricity immunity is definitely worse than melee, definitely worse than explosion. You just don't come across a lot of electricity. You know? It turns out there's not a lot of electricity in the game. So being immune to it doesn't come up very often. And when you are immune to it, I feel like a lot of people, like, yes, Uko Stone and Uko can both one-shot you from full if you're not paying attention. But I would give you a tip to avoid that scenario, which is to pay attention. You shouldn't consider that your monitor is off. You know, you shouldn't be like, yeah, but electricity's really bad when I have my monitor turned off. Like, just turn your monitor on. Extra shop in the Holy Mountain is not very good. But to pay attention, you need to have attention first. That's rich coming from a cat. That makes a lot of sense. Extra item in Holy Mountain. Would I even give it 5? I mean, barely. I would barely give it a 5%. It's technically a benefit, but like 1 extra chance at getting something good out of when you already have 6 chances. It's not going to add that much. It's not going to add very much at all. Per mountain, of course, but it's still not going to add a lot. Stainless armor, I feel like is 10% maybe? Mid 10%? Maybe high 10%. It's going to prevent a lot more damage than you think it is, especially if you're managing it properly. 50% damage reduction is a lot, even if it isn't frequently up. Even if it's only up, say, 20% of the time, that's still going to save you 10% damage. And I feel like being unstained 20% of the time is less time than I'm usually unstained. Stainless. Not unstained. Unshuffler? This seems like a 20%. You can make a plus 20% damage. Having a stainless or having a shuffle wand become unshuffled. That'll often give you a plus 20% damage, but I don't think it's guaranteed. So because I don't think it's guaranteed, I wouldn't put it much higher than 20%, but I think that seems appropriate to me. Healthy exploration. Plus 60 every time you go to a new biome. Early on you have fungal, so it's not useful. How do I feel about healthy exploration? It's plus 60 every time you go to a new biome, which is not often. But you can get like 60 extra HP a level. Are there ever any circumstances where you'd consider taking gamble? If I were trying to seriously get a win, let's say if I was on a win streak, and I was trying to get as high as a win streak as I could, I would never take gamble. Is there any circumstances? If I have invisibility and the Runestone of Edges, and I'm in the last Holy Mountain, I might gamble then. And the reason for that is because I have a boss killer that doesn't rely on my wands, so I can't accidentally get like bouncy spells and now my wand is ruined, or anything like that. I can just turn invisible, or maybe if I have repulsion in a Runestone of Edges, which is a boss killer, maybe I might take gamble as like a funny haha. But in terms of trying to increase my chances of winning, I don't think gamble will ever increase your chances of winning. You could, yes, you could get gamble, and you could grab yourself a concentrated spells and invincibility, and you immediately like walk into the next, you just walk to the boss and kill him. But the thing is, For an experienced player, I think you have good odds winning every run to begin with. I think you have better than 50% odds every run. And so increasing volatility, increasing variance, increasing randomness is only going to give you chances to fail when you were already set up to succeed. So that's why I would never take gamble. Because it's an additional chance to fail. It's also an additional chance to succeed, but I think you're already set up to succeed. Once you get to a certain point of skill. Does going from Holy Mountain to a new biome trigger healthy exploration? Shouldn't you pretty much be healed them? Yeah, but you can avoid taking up the full heal. Go into the level, explore, get your plus 60 in the level, maybe get another plus 60 in a side biome, and then come back for a full heal. And that's usually enough to sort of guarantee a full clear of an early level, which is pretty decent. It's probably enough to guarantee a full clear of coal pits. And probably Hisi as well, because the anvil counts as a separate biome. So you can get 120 in Hisi. Probably not in Snowy, you just take so much chip damage unless you have very strong defensive perks. So I'd put it maybe mid, I'll put it next to Vampirism. I think Vampirism heals more, but Vampirism doesn't, drop your max, or Healthy Exploration doesn't drop your max HP. Vampirism, by the way, if you drink a full flask of blood, will give you 40 HP. This gives you 60 per biome, so if you get a side biome, that's like 3 flasks of blood for Healthy Exploration. I think you can normally get more than 3 full flasks of blood in a biome, especially in Hisi, where I think, in Hisi and Snowy, where I think Healthy Exploration might be weaker. But I think in Coal Pits, Vampirism will almost certainly heal you less than... Well, can you get 3 full flasks in Coal Pits? There's some Hisi in Coal Pits, but other than that, it's... Fungal doesn't really have a lot of blood. Slime Blats don't give you blood. I think they can be next to each other. I think maybe... Yeah, I think they can be next to each other. Faster Levitation. I'll take a 0 on that one. I'm not interested in being able to go up faster. Up and down isn't typically my instinct to dodge to begin with. I typically try to dodge left to right. And... what else does it do other than helping you dodge more? Who knows? Lets you access the Sky Altar without trickery, but there's many trickeries. You know, there's many ways of getting about them. Faster movement. I'm coming around to faster movement these days. I like being able to you know, get in and out of danger very quickly. It helps me dodge a lot more effectively. Is it going to save me 20%? Maybe not. Maybe it is. I feel like it feels like it's worth 20%. I don't know if you actually did a analysis, if that would come out right, but it feels good. Your request levy is 5%. I can put a 5% for faster levy. That seems more appropriate. Well, that seems still very reasonable to me. Definitely take it over any of the 0%. Yeah, I agree. Might even be like near the top of 5%. Not that we're really paying much attention to that anyways. Gas Blood in a short run It's like it's just okay. It's better than Toxic Immunity, which is itself very slightly better than Fire Immunity. Would I put Gas Blood in 10% on a short run? Here's what it does. Your blood is now gas. You're toxic immune. And your physics are very, very slightly more floaty. The gas can light you on fire? I didn't even know that. Okay, it can stay in 5% then. Gas, gas, gas. I wanna step on the gas. The night is on, a man of my own. Revenge Explosion. I'm tempted to put it at the very bottom of 5%. Before doing runs where I where I couldn't use wand or couldn't use item, before like any of that, Revenge Explosion I hated, thought it was purely detrimental. After doing runs where you are like limiting your arsenal to no wands or something like that, Revenge Explosion does a crap ton of damage. That's the only reason why it's there. It does a fucking lot of damage for what is realistically a very low health cost and a decently large AoE. Like, you don't want, in general, volatility out of your control, but if you were going to have volatility out of control, it would be very nice for it to do a lot of damage. And then it does have hilarious synergy with Glass Cannon. If you've never done, as Ericia is pointing out in chat, if you've never done a Glass Cannon Revenge Explosion run, you really need to try it out. It is so damn funny. And so strong. You like walk into a biome, Ahisi is like, get him! And he shoots you once, and the biome's gone. It's great. But you also, if you get knocked onto an explosive, if you're standing on one, which don't, but like you could be, you'd rather not want any little freezing vapor tick of damage to instantly kill you. It's not a likely scenario, but it is one that exists. It does do a lot of damage, but I don't like the volatility at all. I might even put it like at high in 5%. It does a lot of damage. Extra wand capacity I put low in 10%. You're not guaranteed to have the spells to make any benefit of it. You might get F'd and only get one extra capacity. And it's not like all your wands forever are going to get an extra capacity. But I think in the situation where it pays off, it can pay off big. Even being able to take, say, a 6 capacity decent non-shuffle to an 8 capacity decent non-shuffle, that 2 capacity on that 6 wand is actually a lot more than like 25% extra damage. Source dude, just trust me, but also if you know, you know. Yeah, I think it can definitely pull a 10% damage boost. Extra life, we'll come back to him. I still don't feel good about that. Living on the Edge, you can just like kind of go there, I guess. He doesn't really do much, and then when he does do something, he's pretty good. Strong Levy, at least 10%. I'm happy with that. I'll let you make the call on Strong Levy. I don't have strong feelings about Strong Levy. I don't have strong feelings. Here's a lot of perks that I don't have. Where do you go? As far as I'm concerned, like I don't take the man. I put him there, but he's got to be useful, right? Is he? I don't know. He does a little melee. He block a projectile from time to time. But, like, not really. And then he dies and he's dead for forever. Yeah, I agree about living on the edge. I don't like taking it, because it can take you from... I know how much damage I'm doing to... You know, I'm doing a different amount of damage than I thought I was, or my explosions are different, or whatever. Does living on the edge increase blast radius? I don't think it did. Maybe it does. I don't know. If it does increase the radius, it doesn't increase the radius alongside Glass Cannon. I don't know. Maybe this perk's in the wrong place. That's fine. We can be off by 1 or 2 in 106. Look now. Okay. No more knockback. That's a decent that's a decent perk to avoid you getting hard comboed. I'd put it next to maybe a little bit of a Revenge Rant, which I kind of feel is in the same niche. Not necessarily strong in and of itself, but it can help prevent you from getting hard comboed. Low 10%? Yeah, but Revenge Rats is low 10%. Well, maybe you're right. Well, I put it over unlimited spells. It only stops you from falling, yeah. So now there's 4 perks left, and they're somewhat difficult to rate. Extra life? Dude, just don't die. Just kidding. I don't know where to put extra life, man. Probably here. Probably here. Probably here. Probably here. Probably here. Maybe here. Could be up here. Yeah, if you're good, you just shouldn't be above those unexplored gaps to begin with no more knockback. It's true. And then Tinker Everywhere. I think it's probably a 33%er. Because if you're have Tinker Everywhere, I think you can probably make a 33% better wand. Can you make a 50% better wand? Maybe, but I don't think it's nearly as guaranteed. But I think you can probably make a 33% better wand, but only just barely. Maybe 25. It's very nice and fungal, which is a great place. Maybe it's lower. We'll put it lower. Because you can always just break out of the mountain and preserve it. You're not guaranteed to be able to do that, of course. And you're going to take some chip damage walking back and forth from the mountain. And so having Tinker in that case is a little nice. Put it at 25. Alright. So now we're at the weird part, which is that I'm going to pull up this over here. Lottery.py. Okay. So, Tinker at least allows you to clear wands you leave behind. That's true. That's true. Are we relatively satisfied with this? I think I'm satisfied. I think actually I want an extra tier here. I want to say 33% because it also makes exploring fungal easier because you can find a nice wand and then use it. Ah, that's true. That is true. We'll put them in the 33. What's... This should be 75%. I feel like, this is maybe... Yeah, it also has synergy with Wand Experimenter, which is also extremely strong. That's true. That's true. So, I got a little little Python program to rate the last 2 perks for us. Wand Experimenter 75? I don't know. I feel like All Seeing Eye is better than Wand Experimenter. Have I ever done a heart mage trick with glass cannon instead of a heart? Yes, I have. Heals you as much as those protect you. Yeah, healing, however, is less valuable than protection, because if you prevent 500 damage, then you're still alive, but if you have the ability to heal 500 damage, you may have already died. That's why I, in general, would rate a equivalently healing perk worse than the same perk that prevents that much damage. Don't think I disagree with anything on here. Okay. So here is what we're going to do. I'm going to clean up this code ever so slightly. Okay, so I wrote a nice little program that's going to calculate our remaining 2 perks for us. And I just gotta manually put in the distribution that we have settled on. God, I hate Nala files. These are me files. What are you talking about? I wrote this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Where on earth is perks? Please say you don't write in Notepad. I write in Notepad. I code in Notepad. I'm more powerful than you. And I'm sure there's a better way of putting this distribution in, rather than putting it in by hand. Like, maybe there's some way to automatically create a list with, 20 zeros rather than putting in the zeros separated by comma 20 times. But I'm lazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, 17 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Why? Yeah, I do have Notepad++, and then I continued to use Notepad. It just feels like natural and smooth. Like, just use the Notepad, man. It's great. Okay. And I'm putting both the negative and the 0 perks in as 0 because my code only checks if it's greater than 0 or not. Or rather, it used the previous iteration did that. Python or Lua, I code in Python. It's the only thing that is dumb enough for me to understand. That's a joke. I just don't like, I've tried to learn Java before, and I didn't like it, so I stopped. And I love Python, because it's very just like, do it. You know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, so 17 fives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, 15 tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Imagine you missed one. It shouldn't make that big of a difference. But I hope I don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 20s, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 25s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know I could have just seen that without counting it, but it's fine. 2, 3, 4. 3 50s. 1, 2, 3. 2 75s. 1, 2, 3 100s. And 1 200. So, save. Can I request a plus 33 times 4? What does that mean? Will that... I don't know what this means. Is that just going to add the 4 instances of 33 to the list? So how would you do this? You would say distribution equals 37 equals hold on. Distribution. I may have spelled that wrong, but I think I didn't. Equals 0 times 37. Okay, good. I was wondering if that would happen. If it would do that. Yeah, we can definitely set that up. That's much better. I mean, I was sure that there was a better way. I just didn't want to look at it. Distribution of what? I did not pay attention. This is the distribution of perk value. It is awful. Okay, it is awful. In that case, we'll slide it down here. We are setting up the distribution of the perk value to calculate the expected value of perk lottery and extra perk, since you have to know how the other perks line up in relation to them in order to set that up. I do have to recount everything now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wait, did I count wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You did, okay. And then 6 here. 25 times 6 plus 33 times 4 plus 50 times 3 plus 75 times 2 plus, or sorry, yeah, 75 times 2 plus 100 times 3 plus 200. So, are we happy with the top of the list, by the way? That these numbers accurately reflect them? I'm not sure I am. But I might be. You hate invisibility? Yeah. It's an awful perk, fun-wise. But it also does let you walk to the end of the game and kill them. To kill it. And it lets you even explore levels pretty dang reliably to get a boss killer. Like, if I only had one perk, and it was, I get one perk for the whole game, and I have to win or I die in real life, it would be hard for me to choose between concentrated and invisibility, to be completely honest. I don't think that's the super easiest choice. Okay, so here's, is it this is comment? I think it is. I think it's hash. So, I could have, set it up, hold on, let's take this out. It's just a check. Could have set it up so that it shows every 3 perks, you know, guaranteed, looked at the value of every possible mountain at least once, or exactly once, but instead I just have it check 1,000,000 times, you know, take a random 3 and do it 1,000,000 times, which is the less accurate way, but it was the easier way to just do it a minute. So this, random.sample is without replacement, yes. Random.choice is with replacement. This is what a mountain normally looks like. This is with extra perk. And this is with perk lottery. And I'm fairly certain that I got the coding correct. Let's do a save of that. Let me pull up this. Let me kill my bot so that I can run lottery instead of bot. Hold on, is there anything in my command prompt that I shouldn't show? Probably not. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Can you please run? Can you please run? Is it taking time to, I think, I can't tell if it's taking time to chunk through it, or if it's, broken. There we go. There we go. That should be it. So 35 at a random print 42. Yeah. I just had the cursor in the wrong place. So these values are the value of an average mountain, an average single mountain, in terms of percent damage. So on average, your first mountain should give you around 33% on average, not mode, that's the average. Because concentrated spells and these 3 perks are weighting it so high towards the top, I imagine. And because you're talking about the best of 3 possible perks. And then with extra perk, that increases to 42. And with perk lottery, that's about 41. So let me grab Wolfram Alpha real quick to do subtraction, because I'm going to need Wolfram Alpha for a moment for other math anyways. So 42.61 minus 35.43. So that's 7.21% per mountain. 7.21. Okay, I've just jotting that down there. And that's the difference between extra perk and regular perk. Regular perks. And then the difference between perk lottery is 5.34. 5.34. So, that is, let's assume you get, for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to assume that perk lottery pays out the first time. And you're going to get the full 5.34 in the first mountain. So, something to keep in mind is how much will it change if you add a 0 to each number of tests? Well, the first thing that it changes is that it takes 10 times as long, and we're going to be here for an hour. But I tested this several times off stream, and it doesn't change it very much. It's off by like it should probably be, well, let me put it this way. I shouldn't be using 3 digits of 3 significant figures. It should be 7.2 and 5.3. The other interesting thing to note about perk lottery and extra perk is that their payoffs are time dependent. And what I mean by that is they don't give all of their payoff immediately, like many of the other perks. They give their payout in staggered moments over time. And what that means is, well, think about it this way. Would you rather get a free crit plus in addition to all your perks at the first mountain or the 5th? It doesn't cost you anything in either way. There's no, obviously you'd rather have it in the first holy mountain. And in the same way, we can't consider the extra perk, the extra value of perks that perk lottery gives you every mountain to be consistent in every mountain. So what you do in a situation like this is you pick a number from 0 to 1 that represents the ratio of the value of a perk in mountain to mountain. So if your ratio was, say, I think the perk in the first mountain is worth 1 full perk of itself, 100% of its regular value, then the perk in the second mountain may be 80% of its regular value, because you don't get it as soon, right? You get it later. You may not get it at all, even if you die before you get there. It's not as certain, so it can't have the same expected value. And then, in that case, the perk in the third mountain would be 80% squared. It would be 64%. And the perk in the third mountain would be like 50% or something. So, I think the ideal ratio is 80%. That's why I chose it. I think the first mountain is worth, or the second mountain's perk is only worth 80% as much as the first mountain's perk, even if they were the exact same perk. And there can definitely be some debate about that. That's a somewhat arbitrary choice. That's what I personally feel. That lands... actually, I think it's probably closer to 0.7, but I'm going to use 0.8 anyways, because I think that's more generous towards perk lottery and extra perk. And I like them. They're my friends. Actually, I don't think they're particularly good perks, but I haven't finished running through the math, so they might be better than I think. Let's use a 0.75. So, how many mountains are there, including the first one? Is the decrease constant? May the drop, say, between levels 2 and 3 be more than between 1 and 2? I think it's appropriate to model them as being constant, but I don't think that they necessarily are constant. But, you know what they say, all models are wrong, some models are useful. I think it's useful to model it as being constant rather than trying to nail down the exact number at play here. So if I were to go to Wolfram Alpha and I do sum, slide over here, we do 0.8 to the k, we sum from 1 to 7, that's the mountains, and our total value is, what? Hello? Oh, because it's summing from x equals 1 instead of k equals 1. Not a problem. 3.16. So what that means is, we take this 3.16, and we multiply 3.161, or 3.16, call it, times our 7.2 from earlier, and we come across that perk lot, or extra perk, should be about 23% extra damage, over not having it. So that would barely, this is extra perk, that would barely sneak it in here. And the same for perk lottery, 0.534 is a 16.8. I would probably put it the middle of here, maybe around this area. Wonder if there's any notice statistics. You could probably use the depth reached with each perk as a metric. You might be able to figure that out, I think. So these 3 perks we don't rate. This is, I think, my final. I think this is my final perk list. If anyone has any additional comments or criticisms. And I'm kind of interested to see. I'm going to. This one was the one that I did on my own off stream. I'm curious to see what the differences are. For the love of God, please save it. True. So if anyone wants to go over that and compare and contrast, I see I've talked myself into faster wands and extra wand capacity being better on the community tier list than I thought they were in private. Hey, cat template with the 5 gifted subs to Eresia, Smogon, the Divine Overseer, Ceasing, Chili's 79, and Mr. Draco. Thank you very much, cat template. I appreciate it very much. It's very interesting. Thank you. You are very welcome. I will probably be redoing this perk tier list till I die. I really like going over and revisiting, seeing how my opinions have changed over time and trying to hone in on more and more accurate assessments. See, the community landed perk lottery, and perk lottery ended up higher, and extra perk ended up lower, which is kind of interesting. That's probably due to the higher clustering at the top, which made perk lottery more appealing rather than extra perk. Also have 500% there. Oh, that's true. That's true. That's why. I forgot about that. I decided that shortly before the stream. I decided that maybe not 500%. Slightly more better perks. in general. It's kind of a fun little, this one I did in very little time, and I didn't give a ton of thought about it. Why is Exploding Corpses so far below immediately, and where was it before? So this is the updated one, or the new one. Exploding Corpses prevents you from ever being able to get poly immunity. Asterisk. Other than weirder ways. You can't eat polymages. It has anti-synergy with vampirism and eat your vegetables because you will get significantly less blood. It will cause corpses to light you on fire, like, constantly. And I don't consider explosion immunity to be that good to begin with. So that's why explosion immunity or exploding corpses is very low tier. I think it has a lot more negatives than it has positives. Well, I think it has a little bit more positives than negatives. Of course, it's in 5%. Yeah, I'm not sure. Explosion immunity isn't that great of a benefit. It's very nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not worth being lit on fire all the time and also having strong anti-synergy with two much better perks. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this perk tier list. And we mathematically calculated extra perk and perk lottery. Although I may have made a mistake here or there. We still had fun doing it. So I'm going to save this one for myself for later. If I just click that, good. And then I will put this one in my Discord for posterity, and I'll link it from my bot as well. Code seemed fine, probably no mistakes. That's good. That is very good. And thank you again for the gifted subs, Cat Template. Yeah, I'm glad I got to do this. This was very fun. Thanks for joining me on this tier list thing.